Testing one, two, three. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And let me make sure that we are okay. We are live here, and welcome back to Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And you can see I'm going. Let me give a little applause there for us being back. And thank you for joining us. And we are back in kind of, but you can see I am solo today. Um, just coming here and to bring back for some coffee talk on this Monday morning. And as you know, if you watched us, we come on Monday mornings at 7 a.m. And we started out coming out at 6 and then 6:30. And we switched it to 7 a.m. and which makes it better and gives us an opportunity to bring on guests. But we took a break for the summer, like we have done for the last few years, and have yet to come back. And we just want to make sure when we come back, all the other hosts, our original hosts, Leah Drake Stiff and Thomas the Colonel Chapman, everybody's been really busy and we just want to come back in the right way. We've been doing this for a while now. Had some amazing guests, and we're still up on our YouTube channel. And invite you to go back there and watch some of our past videos. And I think you will enjoy them. Um, let me don't want to exactly cover myself, but anyway, um, yeah. Hopefully, you will enjoy the videos we have up there going all the way back to after the pandemic. And so great videos leading up to that. And sometimes I go back and look at it, I can't believe the caliber of guests, the people who have agreed to come on and talk about various subjects, a lot of politics talk. And we really appreciate the support we get. Just trying to make sure I get on this other screen here. Well, anyway, won't waste your time with that. But I had to come on and at least start it off, and hopefully we'll be here every Monday going forward at 7 a.m. With guests, or just coming up, might show some, if we're not ready, I'll show some of our past videos that, of course, will be relevant to you to watch today. But anyway, I just had to come back and really make sure that people knew that Portsmouth Coffee Talk is still here. And we, every once in a while, you have to take a break and sort of reassess and just make sure that you are completing your goal, or you're really completing your goal, or you're in your mission. Sorry about that interruption there. But yeah, I guess you can see I'm showing the little studio I have in my den. I call it the Pocket Studio, and showing it a little bit so you can see some of the things I have and what I've been working with, and how I want to further improve, what we do here on Portsmouth Coffee Talk. But I'm just going to talk a little bit. I just wanted to talk a bit about the local politics because the elections are coming up in November, November 4th, and locally and on the state level. So, of course, here in Virginia, we have elections every year. Somebody's running every year here in the state of Virginia. But this year it happens to be the governor and all the top offices, governor, lieutenant governor, and the attorney general. And of course, the delegates throughout the state are running for re-election, or some people are being challenged. And then here locally, we have the Commonwealth Attorney in the city of Portsmouth, that is. Commonwealth Attorney, we have the sheriff, who are both being challenged. The incumbents in the office, Sheriff Moore, is being challenged by James Cullen. And we have Attorney Stephanie Morales being challenged by Attorney Chapman and Attorney Heritage for the Commonwealth Attorney's office. And then we have the other constitutional offices that are not being challenged, like the Treasurer, Paige Cherry, and Frankie Edmondson for the Commissioner of Revenue. So they're a lot. Anyway, it's close to. A lot of people have already voted, and a lot of people have yet to vote. Some people are still making up their mind because the mail-ins are still coming. The ads are on TV. The billboards are out. Money is being spent with the signs and everything, and little town halls. They're making it around, so it's coming to an end where people are going to have to make up their mind. One thing we want to make sure you do is express your voice. Your vote is your voice. Make sure you get out there and vote, but be an informed voter. You know, and I just wanted to say I saw something on Facebook. Well, I came on Facebook and like a lot of other people and um, expressed their endorsements for certain candidates. And for the last few years, I didn't do that, not publicly, but I did it this year. Well, mainly because with Portsmouth Coffee Talk starting late and not having any political guests, I felt like I could endorse. I didn't want to endorse if we had political guests on and wanted to make sure that they came up and felt comfortable having a conversation with us without having to be uncomfortable with the fact that, you know, we've already made up our minds, even though sometimes they already know that. But so, but this time, I endorsed the reelection of Attorney Stephanie Morales, and of course, Michael Moore. And that was my choice. And, of course, what, you know, you still get pushed back. I think people have the right and, should be able to express who they want to endorse. It's not something like telling people who to vote for. It's just letting people know who you endorse. And if you have any kind of maybe influence or the people know that you've been around in politics for a while, it might help with their decision. But I tell anybody, even if you hear people that you respect or you see endorsements by certain people, still do your own homework and couple that endorsement from that person that you saw. You might be wondering, why did they endorse them? So that's your opportunity to do your own homework and then either agree with that person's endorsement or uh, go along with it.
Bluetooth disconnected.
And it's just kind of strange when people take the energy to talk about the people who endorse, in a certain kind of way. And I think their energy would be best spent, talking about the candidates they endorse and why they endorse them, and let everybody else make up their own mind. But that's just the way politics is. People um, have a right to say what they want to say, and you know, so you have to respect that. But my main thing is just to make sure people get out there and vote and make a choice that you feel is comfortable for you. It's always been in the city of Portsmouth. It's always been controversy behind certain candidates who running or who want to run for re-election. That's always going to be the case, and it always has been. But you just have to fight your way through all the cloudiness and the most talked about news and figure out if you can find some things that particular candidate did with their incumbents that were were good, that helps you decide on voting for them or endorsing them. And sometimes we just have to wiggle our way through the mud that's usually gets the most attention, or even not calling everything mud. A lot of it is fact. Some things did happen that maybe shouldn't have happened under certain people, under certain incumbents' watch. That's unfortunate, and some families were hurt by it, and some families were uh, dissatisfied with the outcome of whatever the prosecution was, or some things that the sheriff might have done. But you have to look at the whole picture, and and then decide for yourself, that what were some of the good things that happened, because most of the bad things are the ones that are publicized and blow out. And not saying that they're not important, they are very important when it comes down to life. Someone spending time in jail that shouldn't be, or somebody spending time, or somebody not spending time in jail that should be, and that's very important. But there's a lot of people that's behind bars that were convicted and prosecuted and sentenced, properly, and that's where they are. And there's a lot of other factors that you have to weigh in. You know, it can get emotional for some people, and sometimes emotions can sort of guide us to our decisions, which is nothing wrong with that, because you want what's right. And if you feel like your family was wronged by mistakes that might have been made, of course, you might want to see a change, and that's your right. And that's why everybody has a right to run. That's why you have candidates challenging, incumbents. I think it's good. It's the democratic way in order to challenge incumbents to make sure they don't get so comfortable in their position that that they forget about why they're there and who they serve. And I don't see that being the case for the people I endorsed. And that's my opinion, my vote, and you have yours. And so, but the criticism, if somebody wants to criticize uh, my endorsements or your endorsements, that's okay. I got thick skin. That's okay, especially when it comes from people that's the norm for them to put down people's right to vote and choose who they want to choose, because it might get clicks. You know. Anyway, just make sure you get out there and vote, especially locally. Like I always say, locally, who you have in office affects you directly, and those things um, locally. I mean, you can get to know these people personally. You'll see them in the grocery store. You'll see them at events, and a little different from the national people that you mostly just see on the news and from afar. But locally, you have a chance to rub elbows with these people and approach them. I always tell people, don't be afraid or don't be intimidated to approach these people that have these positions locally, because they normally, in most cases, want to hear from you, and they don't always get a chance to get around to all the civic leads or answer all the questions they might have. So sometimes you might run into them one on one, and that's an opportunity for you to respectfully, ask them questions or get comments or express how you feel about something that that happened during their leadership. So, and that's just the advantage of being of the local races. So anyway, Portsmouth Coffee Talk, we are still here and we're still going to be going, and we want uh, we're going to be concentrating more on the politics. If you go back and look at our videos, we had a lot of human interest stories. We brought a lot of people in to talk about a lot of other subjects. So, politics and education and probably sharing information about the city and other cities in Hampton Roads. A few times we had mayors and council people from other cities in a panel to talk about, because our broadcast covers pretty much the Hampton Roads area, and then we had to talk to people from out of state as well. But the concentration will be on politics, and that's what this will be, and we will probably have those human interest stories on some of our other platforms that I might have that it will be a little lighter and with serious subjects too. But with everything going on daily in the national political scene, and I think it's important that we follow that and have conversations, and hopefully solution based conversations. Giving people an idea of what they can do or how they can contribute to what's going on daily and how it's going to affect you. You hear a lot about the SNAP benefits being able to that's going to affect a lot of people, and the health insurance and all these different things that's happening. That's going to be a rude awakening, I believe, for a lot of people that felt like some of the things were not going to affect them. So in the next year or so, or maybe sooner than that, people are going to feel the effects of the statement of elections have consequences. It's just amazing to see, especially on the national scene, how our representatives are operating. It seems like they don't care. Some of them care, but they 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 had a stalemate because neither side wants to give up some certain things. And I look at the Democrats. I kind of agree with them. In order for them, you know, catch 22. In order for them to agree uh, with the Republicans, a lot of people will be significantly hurt by what they have in that bill concerning healthcare. And nobody, and it will be something that's permanent for a while, and nobody will really know the impact unless they give in. And all those things that are in that big, uh, big better bill, bad bill, will manifest itself into reality, and then people will really suffer. And just pay attention to what's happening, because nothing is being hidden. Everything is, I mean, it's telling you. I mean, you had Steve Bannon on the other day saying they're working on making sure that Trump will have a third term. You know, even if he doesn't run as president, he runs as vice president, and Vance runs as president. and then they have an agreement where Vance steps down and give the position back to Trump. It's ways that they have been consider been considering for a long time. Even if they can't change the law, that's a way that they can sneak it in there. That kind of talk was talked about when Biden was running. That go ahead and let Biden run because it was um, thought that he might be able to beat Trump, and then he could step down and turn it over to uh, Vice President Harris. That would be a way to do it. So it's a way that they can get that third term, but it's a way they can be stopped, and that's going to depend on how the midterms going. But that's why you see so much effort being made, you know, for changing the voting districts and bringing more people in to the Senate and Congress, that will vote their way. But it won't make a difference what we do or what the Democrats do. They will have the votes to be able to do whatever they want to do. So uh, it's those things that we have to pay attention. And I think everybody sees it now because it's out there every day. It's just the amazing thing how no one's stopped them so far. So why stop doing what they're doing? Why stop? Just like in a football analogy, if an offense is running a play and the defense can't stop that play, keep running that play until they stop it. Because until they stop it, they're going to keep on advancing and keep on scoring touchdowns. So, and then when you stop it, you force them to have to have a different approach, and then that might take time, and that gives you time to work on what you need to do to counteract anything they're doing. And I think we need to be more aggressive as far as that concerned in fighting them. And who knows that the Democrats might be doing everything they can do. It just doesn't look like it, from the surface. Just looking at them, look like they're fighting. Like they're saying they're going to a gunfight with a knife, and it just looks like we know they don't have the votes, but you still have your voice. You still can speak up. You still don't have to dodge certain things because you are worried about your next election. These are the times, even in your minority capacity, to really speak up and say some things and tell the public what's really going on. The people that really trust you, let them know what's going on so they'll know to get in the fight with you as well. It's no coincidence that you had 7 million people protesting, you know, no king day, even though some of 'em, Trump says he's not a king or anything like that, but he sure is acting like one. He sure is setting up things to have that kind of authority, have the authority of a king, whether it's called a king. See, all he said, he's not a king, you know, in the sense of the word, but his actions are showing that he wants that kind of authority, and the people around him want that as well. And none of the Republicans are going against that, So it looks like they want it too, or they want to keep their positions. And it's a whole bully thing that we need to continue to discuss, and which is why Portsmouth Coffee Talk comes back, and hopefully we'll be back. I've been saying this before the end of the year. I just don't want to make any promises about when we're still trying to figure out exactly how we want to do things. Sometimes you have to change up the way you've been doing things for a while in order to attract more viewers. You can't have me up here per se solo every Monday talking. I don't have that that ability to do that. You know, you have certain people that are professionals that can do that, that can hold an audience, you know, uh, by themselves and with all the bells and whistles that they have available to them. Uh, Portsmouth Coffee Talk is all about having co-hosts and panels of people from different areas in life uh, to talk about the politics. And, you know, people we can learn something from, people that might think the way you're thinking out there. You know, when you have a variety of people, there's going to be somebody up there that has an opinion that you agree with, as opposed to having a single person. I do the single things on my other platforms, like the Some Nations one-on-ones experience, and that's not really single either. I have guests that I can have conversations with, so that's really my forte, and that's what I really want to do. For coffee talk, you know, when we do come back, I've talked about this. I'm going to hold more of a background position here to to set up the board and show videos or whatever needs to be shown, and that takes some effort and that takes some concentration. So that's why when we have our host back, hopefully we'll have the Colonel back and Leah and maybe some other people. We did real well with having guest hosts, which made the repeat appearances from time to time. So they were guest hosts, so they came on quite a bit, and we'll be doing that. And I can sit back and what you see here, all these things we have here set up. Uh, I'll be able to control that, which I think eventually will enhance our program. You know, being able to pull up documents because we want to make sure that we are facts-driven podcast along with the opinions we have. And you will know when we're stating our opinions and then when we are giving you facts because we'll be able to pull that up and show you this is where we got this from. This is what this information is saying about the way we feel, and this backs up the way we feel. And the opinion thing, that's, you know, we all have that, and you know, it gives us the opportunity also to I can pull up the comments that people make, and we can either, if they have questions, we can answer the questions right away. So my role will be to concentrate on that, on all of this, and to to be, you know, and to try to be a part of the conversation and do this, you know, even though this is not highly complicated like you might see in some settings. But I think we probably getting there because we want to get more and more uh, uh, gadgets that we can make the program as interesting as we can. So this is where we're going with that, and this going to be my role, and I tried to do that once before, be in the background, but I couldn't help from being a part of the discussion. But I kind of know my role now here since I have my other platforms that I can concentrate as far as having participating in the conversation. But I don't have to do it here. So I'm going to rely on my co-hosts and the guests and whoever we book to come in here to talk about the daily what's going on daily. Ideally, I would like to have Portsmouth Coffee Talk, you know, every day, or at least 3 days a week, because it's just too much happening on a daily basis that we have to wait a whole week to discuss it. So at least 3 days a week, and however that can be set up, that's when we need to be available at 7 o'clock every morning, 3 days a week. And I know it might be early for some people, but you know, that's how you get that worm. That's how you get the news. The news comes out early or comes out late at night, and you have to be ready to talk about it. And so that's one of the goals is to have more of a presence to be on. And so I have to have people that will agree and doesn't have to be the same host every day. You know, I think I could pull something from the way Ron Martin does it. Um, he has different hosts, uh, guest hosts for different days. And so they can set those days and say, okay, I'll be there every Wednesday morning. I'll be there every Friday morning. I'll be there every Monday morning. So that's the goal, and hopefully I can find people that are willing to volunteer their time. And I say volunteer because being a small local social media platform, we can't do like Roland Martin and pay the people that come on. Hopefully, as a part of their commitment to community service, that they will be willing to come on at least to commit to that one day a week. And even then, you don't expect them to be there every day, but most of the days we have different hosts that will be committed to be on several days a week, and sometimes the host for Monday might fill in for Wednesday. However we do it, but it will be advantageous to be consistent with. You look for certain hosts on certain days, but you're definitely covering um, the daily news and the daily happiness. And I think it's going to be we're going to be bombarded with uh, news or craziness or things that we should know for the next 4 years and even beyond, regardless of who's in the office, but especially now because they're making a point to come out every day with some of it distraction, some of it, um, you know, while you're thinking about this, they're tearing down part of the White House, after they said they would not uh, what they wanted to do with the ballroom would not affect the integrity of the building. And then they did affect the integrity of the building and try to make excuses about, well, other presidents have done things, but not to this, you know, not to this scale and not without, letting us know exactly what the actual plans were. And a ballroom, maybe it is needed there and it could be used for other things. But at this point, this particular point, building a 200 and something $1 million ballroom with a bunker underneath, you gotta think about that bunker, expanding the bunker too. So a lot of rich folks probably can go under there and be safe or do their planning. But anyway, at the time when people are suffering and I guess traveling throughout the world is something that presidents need to do or have to do to keep that relationship internationally. But when things are going on at home, it just the optics of it just looks like, do you really care? Do you really care what's going on here? And then you're creating havoc in some of the cities, and you're not going to some other cities. It's like certain cities have crime and certain red state cities don't. For some reason they don't. See, that's one of the things that I guess bothers me and probably bothers a lot of people and most of us. A lot of us sit down and say, well, what can we do? Because no matter what we do, no matter what we say, they just doing what they want to do, whether it's legal, illegal. They're being backed in some cases by the Supreme Court. If anybody speaks up against it, they're being sued to the point where it's a case that they can't win, but you tie that person up because he has to spend money to defend himself. Because once you file a lawsuit, they have to defend themselves. Whether it's frivolous or whether it has no basis, you know, but it has to go through the process. It's funny how they use the process to do that, but then they abuse other processes that they should go through, but they don't. But that suing thing, they use that to sort of push people away and make people spend money and say, okay, I'm not going to speak up because I don't want to be sued. Or they settle and then they pay off. Where does that money go? Where does it go? People, I'm telling you, excuse me, I'm telling you, we're living through crazy times and we need all boots on the ground. We need all hands on deck, however you want to say it. Whatever you can do, however you can contribute, if it's through mediums like this, that's what we need to do. If you have the energy to protest and be a part of those 7 million people that protested, and I think that made a difference. That it got their attention, but it did not slow them down. They're still doing what they want to do. But the more we come out like that, it's at some point they're not going to be able to ignore complete everything that's being done out there. It has to come to a head at some point. And I think if we just don't give up and keep going, keep pushing back, sooner or later, uh, calmer heads will prevail. It just doesn't seem like it now. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Oops, got the wrong banner running across. Okay, I've been talking the whole time with the wrong banner running across, but that's okay. Even please support Muslim Nation 101's experience as well. That's something that's important, that's in line or associated with Portsmouth Coffee Talk. So we almost been here about in here with the allowed time of an hour, not quite an hour, but I won't go to an hour since I'm solo here. But I just wanted to come on and make sure that we have some kind of presence at this particular time that we are normally on with Portsmouth Coffee Talk, and we'll continue to do something until we come back in full force. And look for those other days, and let me know if you like to see more than one day, because I think it's going to be important if you want to also be a part, be one of the hosts on some of those particular days that we expand to. Yeah, because with the hosts, you can't, with everything they have going on, you can't commit them totally to be into something where, because their time is valuable, and since it's a volunteer situation, you don't want to have them on too much. And plus, some of those other days we'll be looking for. One of those days we have probably a younger crew as opposed to the baby boomers that most of us are now, and it'd be interesting to get the perspectives of some younger voters, some college students or people, a young student, young people just starting out in their life, in their jobs and things like that. And it's a lot of them out here that are in elected office and things like that. So we're gonna look for people, a variety of people, even if it's some people that uh, lean or all the way to the right. We will accept those people too. I think they should have a voice, and we can have some constructive conversations with them. I know some of them will turn to arguments, but we'll try to not let that happen. But I'll be looking for um, people that are more to the right, and of course, we are more to the left here. There's no mistaking that. Most of us that are involved here over the years to the left and Democrats, and we uh, chastise them as well if we don't feel like they're doing what they should be doing. But there are particular policies, most are in line with the way we feel, and we'll be looking to have some other people that think differently and uh, give them the opportunity to come up here too. Maybe as guest hosts. You never know. Uh, Getting both sides of it's nothing wrong with that. But we just don't want to bring some people up here just to have confrontations. Although sometimes that happens, but to have constructive conversations or disagreements or discuss differences in what you believe policy wise, that's fine. I think that's good for the viewers too. That's good to share that kind of information with people that might be watching. So I want to thank everybody that's been over the years that been supportive of Portsmouth Coffee Talk, and that's not something that we're saying thank you and we're leaving, but no, it's thank you and we are continuing Portsmouth Coffee Talk, and uh, we're gonna continue to need your support. And you can still go on our page and subscribe. I hope you still do that. That's why I wanted to make sure you knew that we were still here. And even before, like I said before we come back, uh, we're brand new. I'll be putting up encore videos up every Monday morning. So you won't forget about Boston Coffee Talk, and hopefully I'll pick the ones uh, that may be relevant to to some of the things that we're talking about. But some of those human interest stories we have is something that, especially some of the medical shows, that kind of advice will always be good. So I'll show you some of the older shows we had, but going forward, it's going to be mostly political, and uh, politics can cover all those different areas as well. So look forward to a lot centered around politics and what's going on in the country and the world today, because it seems like the world is being drawn into our daily lives as we see our president interacting with Canada, and Canada pushing back like that. We never had any issue with Canada, but it's just kind of crazy to watch the back and forth, you know, and the way Canada is pushing back, say, well, we don't have to take this. We can do without you. Imagine if a lot of countries were saying that, and you can see it kind of developing now. Countries uh, uh, coming together and trying to get around having to rely or deal with the United States. And I hope that's not something that's going to be a permanent thing. But if they figure it out how to do it without us, it's going to be hard to get them back into the fold, and have that diplomatic relationship, those diplomatic relationships that we've had in the past. We hadn't always agreed with different countries, but we had that kind of interaction that sometimes didn't turn out as well, but most of the time, at least the conversation was there, and we worked out some compromises. But now, some people are just breaking away. How many people can stand or put up with the chairs or calling us names and things like that? But that's another conversation. That's an ongoing conversation. But it's just wow. All this is going on with the other countries. We're finding out how much in certain ways we depend on other countries, and of course they depend on us, but everything doesn't grow here, at least properly, in the United States. We depend on a lot of imports, bringing things in to help our economy, and we send things out. It also helps our economy, and we don't need to be breaking those ties and thinking that we can self-sustain in everything here in the United States. Uh, we, we just, it hadn't always been that. We just can't. Certain things that we're not going to be as good at because of the climate. Certain things grow better in other countries than they do here, no matter what we do. And then if we try to artificially uh, sort of repeat or duplicate what a climate-driven crop might be in another country, then we end up with something that might be harmful for us in the long run because we had to treat it a certain way in order for it to grow like it should, like it would do naturally somewhere else. So breaking those ties with those countries is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And then creating relationships with dictators is not a good thing either. We see that happening. So, didn't mean to go on, but I'm going to be signing off now, and thank you for listening and to me ramble on. But I just wanted to make sure, as I've been repeating the whole show, that that Portsmouth Coffee Talk is still here and it's here to stay, and we're going to come back and my role is going to be more in the background, so you don't have to worry about putting up with boring Slim. My role is going to be in the background, but we're going to bring some exciting hosts on. The hosts we've had for years. Uh, Hopefully, will come back, the Colonel and Leah, and bring in other guest hosts as well, and have a lot of our shows with panel guests from other cities, from other states that will cover, you know, all the things that you see locally and nationally. We have some very intelligent people here that's keeping up with what's going on in the world. And we need to tap into that, bring them on and have that conversation. And the most important person is going to be you with your comments. Because also, we can, if someone really wants to be a part of the show during the live shows, we can bring you on. We can't do it for everybody. Most, we'll look for your comments, but every once in a while, somebody might be watching that really can add significantly to the conversation, and we'll be able to pull them in to the live conversation. So I look forward to being able to do that. And that's one of those things, too, I told you. I need to be able to watch the board and talk to people offline that might want to come on or do certain things to make the program as credible as possible as far as you know showing documents or videos or audio that might support some of the positions that our host may hold on a particular subject. So stay tuned, y'all, and we look forward to see. This is one of the things why it takes this kind of effort to do. But anyway, take care. We'll see you next time. Be our guest on the Portsmouth Coffee Talk